Now, the one thing I want to talk about in Uniswap, and this is something which is a phenomenon, a problem for all decentralized exchanges, is that of front running. Let me explain to you how front running works and why this is a fundamental problem. Now, you remember the slide. This is where I basically described to you how a Bitcoin transaction or how a cryptocurrency transaction works. So a person, now making it a person, but it could just be a smart contract itself, has a signed transaction digitally, puts it to a system of verifiers, and then these verifiers, and this is the important part, put it into a pool of processed transaction. So this is the part in the lower upper right corner. Now this area, or this group of transactions, is referred to as the mempool of processed but not yet settled transactions. So let's have a closer look at this. So these transactions are there. Now they're waiting to be put onto the blockchain. Now what these are effectively is this is a smart contract where Sue has put her shares into the smart contract and Bob has paid the money to the smart contract, and then the smart contract enables the atomic swap between the two. And so what effectively gets therefore sent to the blockchain is something that comes out of the smart contract. It's the atomic swap. Now here's the thing. All of these transactions in the mempool usually come attached with some form of fee. It's particularly important in Ethereum because you have to pay a gas fee which it means that is the amount that you have to pay for the processing cycles to be going through. Okay. Now you can see that these fees that people offer could be of large different varieties. So, and you know, the important part is that for the miners usually have a preference for more money, and so therefore they will rank these transactions by the fees that are being paid. It's not 100% accurate, but for the purposes of this argument, this is good enough, okay? And you can see by the size of the dollar bills attached to it, whether or not the fee is high or low. So the particular transaction that we have is, say, roughly the fourth largest fee, okay? So the exact order here doesn't matter. The important part is it has a reasonably sized fee. It's not the smallest. Now, somebody who sees the transaction in the mempool could say, oh, this is a good transaction, I want to trade it too. And so what this person can then do is, this contract effectively still exists on the blockchain, the original one. So what this attacker therefore could do, or the front runner could do, is he could send money to that smart contract, okay? Trade ahead of Bob, so do the same transaction basically that Bob has with Sue. Do the same transaction, but pay a higher mining fee or a higher gas fee. And so what that would do is that it would change the order of transactions in terms of how they are by their fees. So you can see the one which we had before used to be the fourth highest. Now it has the fifth highest fee, and the transaction that the attacker has put in has the fourth highest fee. And so what that means is that when these transactions get included in a block, the first transaction, which was where Sue which would be for Sue shares as they exist, that one would be, and the attacker, that would be processed. And the second one, which has the same price, they trade the securities at the same price, but there is a lower fee, that would no longer be valid because of the way these transactions are processed. And therefore, this transaction would never between Bob and Sue would not occur. Instead, it would go to the attacker and Sue. And so therefore, the attacker has effectively front-run Sue. And that's a nuisance for Bob, at least. Now keep in mind, when I use the term mempool, there's no such thing as a single mempool, but there is a large number of mempools. So every node that processes transaction, every miner effectively has their own mempool. Okay, so there's a particular part of how this is being organized. The important part is that there are many spots where an attacker can check an existing mempool, and an attacker could be somebody who just runs a node and would therefore know what other transactions have been proposed and thereby pick out the ones that would make a transaction profitable. And so that is essentially the way how the front running works. And it's something which you cannot avoid unless you pay such a high fee that you really trade immediately, so that there's simply too much latency in the system to have a successful attack or a successful front running attack.